Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. So usually when I do a review, I have the Blu-ray and I can hold it up and stuff. But today I went to the theater. I got out of work pretty early. I've been working extra hours all week and last week, but especially this week. And so I was able to get off quite early, right at lunch. So I went out and decided to see Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, which is directed by Sam Raimi, who, if you don't know, has done Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Drag Me to Hell, I believe he did. I haven't seen that, but I heard it's quite good. But I think the most. Oh, he also did the Spider Man trilogy, the good one, the really, really good one, with Tobey Maguire. So one of the favorite things about this movie, just to get out of the way, is how weird it is. There's a part in the film because they are dealing a lot with the multiverse now in the MCU. And the entire movie is basically him trying to stop Scarlet Witch from undoing reality, basically, because she wants to go to a manufactured reality that she has, where she has two sons that she takes care of alone and that she loves very much, and she's willing to just kill everything in order to get it. And everything weird with this movie is based on the multiverse concept. So you get Doctor Strange going through all these different universes, where one of them is like a paint world, one of them is a super futuristic one is an animated one, kind of somewhat similar to the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. If you haven't seen it, it's really fucking good. I recommend everyone to watch that. But in this movie, he meets. I should have gotten the name of the new superhero that he's sort of guiding in this movie, but I think her name is America Chavez or Chavez, I think. And what's cool about her is that she's able to freely travel through the different multiverses. And so, what she does in the beginning of the film to kickstart everything is that Doctor Strange is at the wedding of his love interest from the original Doctor Strange film, played by Amy Adams. I don't know what her character's name is. I just see the actors' faces and names, and that's how I keep up. But he's at this wedding, and he's kind of clearing the table about his feelings about her and his lack of commitment, and just being afraid to love someone. And they hear an attack, and so Doctor Strange puts on the cape or the cloak. I guess he would get mad at me for saying cape, but he gets into the cloak and he flies down to the big CGI monster battle. And he gets down there. It's basically a beholder from D&D or Dungeons and Dragons. It has eye stalks. It's a giant eye, and it flicks, opens and closes, just like a beholder. And it's lovely. This is the weird Sam Raimi stuff that I love. And he fights and is trying to protect this young adult who is probably about 15 to 17 or so. So I imagine that this is the introduction to a new superhero into the MCU. And so she's running away from this beholder monster, and Doctor Strange is fighting it. Wong comes in. He's the other Doctor Strange organization magic user who has been throughout all the different movies. And they fight the giant beholder, and Doctor Strange takes a light bulb and just stabs it in the eye and pokes the eye out, and blood is going everywhere. And there were a good number of people in the theater I was in. And a lot of people were like, oh, and I was very happy to hear such a reaction, because I don't think these people have watched many Sam Raimi films. And so after killing this beholder, he questions the younger adult woman, America, I think her name is. That's what it sounded like on the audio track. But she's kind of the multiverse lady, and she is trying to explain it, talking about all this different rules and stuff of the multiverse, and she takes him with her, and they go to one multiverse after being kind of forced into the multiverse, and they fly through like 10 multiverses in like a span of a minute. And that's when you see the artwork one, the painting one, where the globs of paint, and the animated one. We see a super futuristic one. We see a dinosaur one. All sorts of multiverses. And they finally stop at a semi futuristic multiverse where Doctor Strange was killed by Thanos and also killed Thanos. So it was kind of like a killing blow against each other, is what we understand at this point of the film. But they step onto this like memory pod thing. It's like a little pressure plate on the sidewalk of this multiverse. And when they stand on it, it says like, for a small fee, you can, see your memories so that you don't have to remember them. Is kind of what the motto is, or the sales pitch. And Doctor Strange watches his, and it's all about how he gets his little wristwatch that he has that Amy Adams gave him in a previous movie, I think. I think we saw that. And he says it's a waste of time, walks away. And Miss Chavez steps on it herself. And she sees her first time using her multiverse power, in which her two moms, which I think this is the most clearly gay couple we've seen in the MCU, which they didn't really do anything. There wasn't a kiss or something. There was a slight bit of intimacy going on. And Miss Chavez has like a pride flag on her. That's really it in terms of queer representation. And I was a little disappointed by that, because when we're watching this memory, it's her as a little girl, maybe like 5 or 6, and she accidentally opens the multiverse and her parents get sucked through the portal, and she assumes they're dead. We don't really get any answers in the movie about what happened to them, but I was like, oh, the only gay couple we've seen in this movie, or even in the entire MCU, and they're immediately killed off. I was like, I don't like that really at all. That's one of my major complaints. Everything else is a little bit more structural. But we kind of get that behind the scenes, and Doctor Strange is like, I don't think they're dead. I think they're still alive. But from that scene, we are assuming that they are dead, because what she sees is a bee land on her shoulder, and she freaks out. Having high emotions kind of triggers the multiverse traveling, and that's really all we need, honestly, in terms of an origin story for this, I guess, blooming superhero. Because this is a complaint that I have often and about the MCU, is that we don't need origin stories. Just start when they're already a superhero. It's something that I loved about the original Black Panther when he first showed up in Civil War, and we get a few lines about his background. And that's really all we needed in terms of the origin story. And we have that a lot in this phase of MCU. Outside of the TV shows, I think the TV shows are still kind of lacking in that regard. I've seen Moon Knight, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but it's kind of an origin story. Everything before, I guess, this phase, in terms of the MCU, has been origin stories. Oh, you have Doctor Strange? Gotta have a Doctor Strange movie. Oh, you have Captain America? You gotta have a Captain America movie. And, just showing how they become the heroes. And that's always been a complaint of mine. And I think I talked about that when I was talking about No Way Home, I believe, when I first saw that in the theaters. And it was so nice that she was just already kind of a hero, I guess. She's still figuring it out, but we don't spend an entire movie with her trying to just focus on her. This movie is very small scale, which I really, really enjoyed. because we don't need every single Avenger involved in the struggle, although it is the entirety of reality that is in danger. But it was really nice that it was just Doctor Strange and this up and coming hero, because she's not a full hero yet, but she is sort of training to be now and figuring out her powers. It's really hard to explain because this movie actually did the origin part correctly and how it should be done, which is that they're working with someone else. It's not them doing what the Captain America movie did, the Iron Man movie, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy. We have a short scene in the beginning of that movie kind of showing Peter Quill, who is played by Chris Pratt. And that's really it in terms of his origin. And then we just jumpstart all the way to the future where he is already basically a hero. He's not part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's got his stuff figured out. And this movie was the exact same way. We get a little bit of background and we get to learn about them through dialogue. We don't have to see, them learning their powers and then them having to have a huge dumb CGI fight at the end. I think the worst one in that regard is Iron Man 1, with regards to, I think Jeff Bridges plays the character, where it's just a bigger Iron Man, and it's, no, is my main issue with that movie. But, everything with her was very refreshing. I don't know who the actress is. I don't know what other movies she's been in or even TV shows, but she was good. I was invested in her story. And I think that's something that I haven't been able to do with any of the Marvel movies or the TV shows since Endgame. I enjoy the Spider-Man movies for the most part, but I really, really like the Doctor Strange character. I think his origin movie was not what I liked really at all. That was because the first 5 minutes, if you don't know, is them showing all of the magic of the universe and showing Tilda Swinton, who I love a lot. Her character's great in these movies. She doesn't do much, though, which is my issue. But she is just showing everything in the magic system. They're having a big dumb fight with the main villain of the movie in the first 5 minutes. And then we cut back to Doctor Strange. Take out that first 5 minutes and let's focus on Doctor Strange, because he hasn't really had any solo movies since this one. And I really like his character again, because he's interesting. He has actual issues that he is working against and trying to overcome. And his personality just really clashes with what he wants as a very sarcastic, kind of dry asshole. And I really enjoy just watching his character. And everything with the magic is what I love. Having Sam Raimi be the director of a Doctor Strange movie could not have been better. It just really melds well with the weirdness of Doctor Strange. And I have a little bit of love and hate with the story of this movie, of them trying to stop Scarlet Witch, because I love that it's so small scale and focused, but at the same time, I felt like there needed to be a bit more. I thought the pacing was very whiplash-inducing, because for the first, 30 minutes or so, when we have the big fight with the Beholder, it is wonderful. I loved the beginning, I love the intro, and then we get the start of the multiverse stuff with Miss Chavez, America, I think her name is. I should have looked it up. But it just felt stop and go the entire movie. And it was, I think, 2 hours and 10 minutes, so it's not as hugely, monstrously long as the other movies. But because one of my main issues right now is that a lot of these Marvel movies are now reaching 2.5 to 3 hours long. The only Marvel movies that should be that long are the Avengers movies, where we have everybody. and they're doing a huge fight and war kind of thing, like Infinity War and Endgame. Those links were perfect for those movies. We don't need Shang-Chi to be 3 hours long. We don't need a Doctor Strange movie to be 2.5 hours. The 2 hours and 10 minutes was just a little bit long. It was just a little bit too long for me. It was very stop and go the entire movie. And one of my favorite parts in terms of the weirdness of this movie was towards the end, which, if you don't want to listen with the spoiler, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm not going to really explain what happens, but if you don't want to know, just click off, skip, 30 seconds or something. But is everyone ready? Okay, so my favorite part of the movie was towards the end, because Doctor Strange, he is dreamwalking, and it's very real time like, which I loved. I love that part where he is dreamwalking with Scarlet Witch, and he is trying to rescue America, and she is kind of on this altar about to be sacrificed to Scarlet Witch. And Doctor Strange is like, oh my god, I need to dreamwalk into an alternate universe Doctor Strange and rescue her. And so what he does is that earlier in the movie, to prove that America is a multiverse hopper, she brings a dead body of a different Doctor Strange. And he's like, okay, we're going to bury that, whatever. And there's a little bit of a joke between Wong and Doctor Strange where Wong is like, I think that breaks some sort of ordinance, like a housing ordinance. And Doctor Strange is like, oh, I've buried Wes, and they drop it. And I didn't think about that at all for the rest of the movie. And so when Doctor Strange needs to rescue America, he dream walks into his dead body and is like an undead Doctor Strange. And I loved that. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie. It was pure Sam Raimi weirdness. It even had the Sam Raimi like cinematography, was jumping around, doing quick zoom-ins to everyone's faces, and it was absolutely wonderful. Demons are trying to stop him from doing this because it's like a crime against nature to inhabit a dead body. And Doctor Strange like defeats the demons, and Amy Adams kind of helps with that by using an urn of like angels or something. She just kind of opens an urn and just blows away the demons. I don't really want an explanation why that worked. I don't care. It was awesome. So he's flying around. Instead of his normal red cape, he has a cape of demons like guiding him and flying him around, and they're all hissing at each other. They're screaming. The music goes very like sinister and horror movie like. This is where Sam Raimi should have been, and the MCU is doing the R-rated horror films. And maybe they've changed it between when I heard this and when this movie came out, but I swear that this movie was R-rated. It did not feel like an R-rated movie. There was no blood outside of the Beholder scene, really at all. There was no cussing. I mean, there was no fucks, basically, because he allowed one fuck on a PG-13 movie. If you say 2, it gets immediately upgraded to R rated. So it really didn't feel R-rated, and that was a shame in my opinion, because I loved all of the Lovecraftian weird monsters in this movie. I love the Beholders. I love all the squid creatures that they fought. I loved how Doctor Strange, when he's inhabiting a dead body, he is shooting out like dragon eels out of his hands. And it's so like disgusting and grotesque and awesome. But that's really it in regards to the R-rated stuff. I don't know what else they could have done or what they did to do an R rating. I think they did that just to maybe drum up interest in the movie because it's Sam Raimi. But I was really disappointed by the level of gore because you have Deadpool, that's rated R, that's technically MCU. I don't know if they're ever going to incorporate him to the MCU, but there was a lot of blood in that one in a Marvel movie superhero film. But oh, I've been kind of all over the place, and there's really only one last thing to talk about, which is the Bruce Campbell. Oh, actually, there's two more things I want to talk about. But first is that Bruce Campbell has a cameo, and Doctor Strange makes him do kind of the Evil Dead thing where he's beating himself up. Bruce Campbell is, and because America takes the free food, it's like a pizza bowl from Bruce Campbell, and Bruce Campbell's like, "Hey, asshole! Like you're not supposed to take food from people. Like you gotta pay for it." And he's like, and Doctor Strange is like, "Hey, lay off or whatever," and like possesses him and tells him like, "Oh, keep beating yourself up for like 3 weeks or whatever." And he's doing like throwing his head against everything. He's throwing himself around. And as much as I appreciated it, I had a little bit of like oh, okay, when I was watching it, because Bruce Campbell is 40 years older now than he was when he made Evil Dead. So it was fun to see, but it was kind of like, okay, you're a little too old for that, Bruce Campbell. It would have been fun if there was a multiverse where he was just Ash, hanging out, fighting monsters, and Doctor Strange helps him. I don't know. I think that was good enough for a Bruce Campbell cameo, but if you have any worries about future storylines of the Marvel movies, you might want to just go ahead and turn the video off, because there are some big appearances in this movie that I will be talking about shortly. So if you haven't left yet and you don't want to know, leave. I have nothing else to say really outside of this. I love the movie. It was great. It's my favorite of the phase, but I had a lot of issues. Okay, that's my summation. Okay, you can go now if you don't want to hear spoilers about future Marvel stuff. Okay, now that you're gone, we have confirmation of the Fantastic Four in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, and along with the X-Men. In this movie, Doctor Strange goes to a universe where the Illuminati is an actual organization in control of everything. And they're the ones who make hard decisions that no one else wants to make. And one of them is to actually kill Doctor Strange along with Thanos when Thanos attacks. And they're having a council of all the Illuminati. There's like 5 or 6 of them, I think. And the first one they introduce, they're like, "He's the smartest scientist ever." And they point, and it's John Krasinski playing Mr. Fantastic. I don't know his name. He's the long rubber band armed guy. He's part of the Fantastic Four. And they show him, and he's like, "We gotta fight bad guys," or whatever. He says something. And I was too distracted because everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my God," like was freaking out. And I was like, I had a feeling he was going to show up because I knew that he was cast already as as Mr. Fantastic. And I know that having the Fantastic Four film close out this phase. So I was like, okay, like I would not be surprised at all if this is how they introduce the multiverse. What was a surprise, what I was a little bit disappointed by, is that as they're introducing people, they have a different Captain Marvel who is now a black woman. We have a Captain America who is actually Peggy, which was really interesting. I like that, but we also have a guy who I don't really know. He has like a fork on his forehead that shoots out like echolocation. I don't know who that is. I don't know what superhero that is. If someone knows, let me know, because I don't. Maybe I'll look it up. I don't know. But I was really surprised because they're talking and they're like, only one person here has the power to veto everyone. And it is, and they all turn again, just like with John Krasinski. And Sir Patrick Stewart is in his little, wheelchair, electric wheelchair. He walks in, he's like, yeah, I'm part of the X-Men. And I was like, Patrick Stewart? It's like, getting a little old. Are they gonna have him in the MCU now? He's in his 80s. I don't think Sir Patrick Stewart should have been cast, because if you haven't seen Logan, he dies in that movie. And I know it's a different universe, it's multiverse stuff, but I thought that was a good send off for Sir Patrick Stewart. Because I love him, I love that actor, I think he's great, but they should have brought in the younger. It's not Magneto. Oh my gosh, Charles Xavier. They should have brought in the younger Charles Xavier, who is played by a wonderful actor who I cannot remember off the top of my head right now, but it's not. It's in the. Oh my god. Whatever movies. The newer X-Men movies. He's the guy who plays Xavier in that. I wish they would have had him come in, but I don't know what the decision or the justification why they brought Sir Patrick Stewart back was. I was disappointed, and also I was excited but also disappointed, because I was like, they had his send-off, and now I'm very worried now that they're going to bring back Robert Downey Jr., they're going to bring back Chris Evans, they're going to bring back I don't know who else is around who got a great send-off. I'm just worried that they're going to bring back all these people that had great send-backs, and where they originally said, oh, we're done with Marvel. Like, we've done our part. We've had our movies. Now I feel like they're just going to bring it back. And this is an issue I have with the multiverse concept with the movies, is that the Spider-Man No Way Home, how they brought back all the Spider-Mans, I thought was great. Do it once. Don't do it again. And having Doctor Strange be the multiverse guy is a great idea, because for me, that's a great way to introduce the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. That's what I talked about after Endgame. I think I even have a review where I talk about Endgame from way before I even made the channel, when it first came out, because I was going to make a YouTube channel back then, and I was like, I'm not happy with the review that I made for Endgame. But in it, I mentioned that the way to introduce the Fantastic Four and all that is through the concept of Thanos's and Iron Man's, and I think the Incredible Hulk also snapped. So there was like 3 or 4 snaps that happened, capital snaps, that happened in the final movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be a great way to introduce the multiverse. Have the entire universe stuff be completely strained to the point where people are popping in and out from different universes. Have the Fantastic Four drop in. Have X-Men drop in. Have the other Spider-Mans, which I wasn't thinking of at the time, but that's how they brought back the Spider-Man Spider-Man people, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, into the Tom Holland one. It's a very thin line, in my opinion, with the multiverse stuff. It can either go well or it can't. I don't think there's any good way to do it. It just really depends on how they execute it. But wow, I talked a lot. My voice is completely dry and my neck is totally numb. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie for the most part. It's my favorite of the phase. I've only seen No Way Home, a little bit of Shang-Chi, but I just didn't want to deal with that one time. And I've seen this. I've only seen Moon Knight, the TV show. I felt lost at times, not knowing certain settings of the movie where they were located at. But I assume that's from the TV shows or the movies. But yeah. I think I need to catch up, but I don't want to catch up is the issue. that I'm experiencing right now with the MCU. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep y'all updated, I guess. But thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the weekend. Thank you.